Welcome to the Jungle's Lair, the podcast exploring the unknown frontiers of business. I'm your host, Ed Z, and today I'll be sharing my personal tale of grit, determination, of how I transitioned from 2008 university grad struggling to find my footing during the financial crisis to becoming somewhat of a successful real estate entrepreneur. I remember back then in 2008, the market crash happened. Devastating times for a lot of people. I have seen on TV employees of Lehman Brothers coming out from the head office front door with brown boxes because they don't have a job anymore. Broken families having to surrender their homes to get foreclosed upon. There are entrepreneurs who went bankrupt. All these caused by the housing mortgage crisis. Back then, when I first graduated from university, it was horribly difficult to find a job. I have applied to 100 different places, banks, telecom companies, utility companies, everywhere possible, retail. Nothing was working. Nothing was good. There was a lot of fear as well. Every day I'm watching the TV and there's a stock market going down. They're breaking new lows. At that moment in time, I was feeling lost and unsure of many things. I remember seeking out to get advice from a very affluent family friend. And I asked him, can you please give me some wisdom? What should I do? I'm lost. He looked at me. He said, Ed, don't worry about it, young man. You have a lot of time ahead of you. And here's what you want to focus on. It doesn't matter what kind of decisions you make at this moment. Just remember, if you don't know, go for something that you would struggle the most. I took that to heart. And at that time, what I struggled the most was sales and communication. I wasn't good at it. I wasn't good at public speaking. I wasn't good at talking to strangers. I wasn't even good at going to a house party, introducing myself without even getting sweaty. Sometimes it gets even worse. I would get anxiety when I'm talking to people who I don't know. I struggle with that. It was a challenge for me. As you know, I came from a communist country, China. When I first arrived in Canada, I thought, what a beautiful nature-filled country with capitalism, democracy. Wow, I have a voice. But what I didn't know was my parents, very strong in their mind, decided to send me to a school, parachuted into a class where I was the only non-English speaker. At that time, I only know 3 words: Apple, computer, SkyTrain. That's it. I couldn't make friends for a year. It was a horrible experience. I only had 2 options. Either I learned the language skill set by myself, or I would suffer the consequences of not doing it. And I tried and I tried and I tried. English is not the best and the easiest learning language to learn. Finally, later on, I learned the language skill sets. It doesn't teach me anything about the social component. A lot of times we communicate on a different level. We can have our body language. We have our eye contact. We have our tonality, our vocabulary. English communication was only one part of it. For many part, it was the non-verbal part of communication that was truly lacking and truly missing. That huge fear of sales and communication helped me land my first job. Out of all the easiest careers out there, I had to pick the hardest. I could have went on Twitter, Facebook, direct message people to learn communication. I could have telephone called, cold called people, many other things, write cold emails. It was 2008. Technology were pretty advanced. Internet was pretty advanced then. But I didn't do it. I just went for the hardest, most difficult career path known to myself. Cold approach sales. Most of you listeners isn't comfortable about walking up to a random door, standing in front of the porch, looking at the door like this, ring the doorbell, having somebody open the door and talking to you. Complete stranger. It's random. You don't know what that person, he or she, is going to do, what they're going to say. Would they be angry? Would they be happy? Would they be mad? Enthusiastic? You don't know. That's where fear comes in. I remember a very smart man once told me, the fear is real, the threat is not. The fear is real, the threat is not. At that time, I had a huge fear of sales and communication. I was hustling and doing sales. Knocking 150 doors a day was like a normal day routine once I got into it. Talking to 80 people a day, making 2 to 3 sales in energy utility related products. It was intense. It was fun. It was full of surprises. At that time, I just finished a week of training. I barely was able to do it by myself. I had so much anxiety and so much fear. The first door that I knocked on, I was facing this unknown door in front of me. And it took me 10 minutes to put my finger by where the doorbell is. And it took me another 5 minutes to press on the doorbell, realizing that it was a dud. Then I knocked on the door. Waited a few seconds. Nobody came out, and knocked it again. All of a sudden, the door swung open, and it was a gentleman that's about 6'7", looked at me, angry, said, "What do you want?" At that time, again, I was in so much fear. So much anxiety filled me. I was speechless for a minute, and that guy just looked at me. Don't know what he was thinking. I was almost choking. I had the script in a paper format in front of me. I didn't even look at the guy. I just read off my script. The lucky thing is he gave me the time of the day to let me finish before he slammed the door on me. As my eyes wandered across the street, I saw my trainer standing there, laughing, clapping his hands. And I asked him, "I just got rejected. Why did you do that?" He said, "Well, welcome to the real world. Welcome to your first rejection." And I constantly struggled with rejection. It was very difficult on my psyche. And every day, having 50, 60 people saying no to you, it's emotional and psychological damaging. I was so emotionally damaged to the bone. At the end of the day, when I get back to the office, I would be so beat. I just wanted to find a bed and lie down. But no, we kept going. For the first 3 months, it was small steps, small goals. Can I get on that porch without feeling the anxiety? Can I knock on the door? Can I ring that doorbell? Small steps. Can I talk to somebody and have an engaging conversation for a minute? Can I make somebody smile? Can I look into people's eyes for 2 minutes? Incremental steps of improving that face-to-face communication skills and just getting better. And within a year, things changed. I was so focused on self-development, my skill improvement, and my desire to impact these people. I started reading books and watching videos on sales communication. There were Zig Ziglar, Dale Carnegie, How to Make Friends and Influence People, the Sales Blue Book, Tom Hawkins, How to Close a Deal. I read anything I can get my hands on, and I practiced pitching over and over and over again. Back then, our work started at 8 a.m. I have to leave home at 6:30 to catch a morning bus. I will work for the entire day, finish at 9 o'clock, go back to the office, and we will break down our sales. It was like that Monday to Saturdays. It was hustling, hard work, month over month, but I see huge progress. I remember the turning point happened. I was knocking on the door, and I came across this elderly woman, probably around 5'2". She was in her 70s. She saw me. She said, "Hey, young man, why don't you come in for a drink of water?" And that day, I've been beaten by so many other people on the field. I didn't hesitate. I just said, "Yes, sure. Please let me in. I would love to have an icy glass of water." And we sat there. We talked. She told me about her family, her kids overseas. She told me about her friends who moved on to senior homes, and she was the only person around in the neighborhood, and she felt lonely. She wanted somebody to talk to, and she was really happy that I showed up. So we ended up chatting for an hour. And then she said, "What are you here for, young man?" And I told her, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I was just really appreciative that she offered me a glass of water. I didn't tell her what I was there to sell. She said, "Well, whatever you're doing, young man, whatever you're selling, I'm going to buy it." She didn't even know I was selling. I guess that taught me a big lesson. You build that relationship first. You make friends with her. You show empathy. You listen to them. After that, I realized the impact I was having on talking to these people. I was influencing them. Either they say no to me or they say yes to me. It didn't matter at the end. I know for a fact that the people who were angry, who rejected me, they were not directing the toxic energy at me. I so happened to show up at the door, and that gave me confidence. Afterwards, I started rising to the top in my organization. I became the top salespeople again and again in the office. I was promoted to leadership role. I started training younger and newer people. I started assigning people territories, and I created these mapped territories for my team so they can go out and door knock, do the same thing that I did. And I took them under my wing. I trained them. I taught them how to handle objections, rejections, how to deal with the selling mindset, product knowledge. I taught them everything I knew. I trained, I mentored other salespeople. That was truthfully the proudest moment in my early 20s. I'm going to end this episode here. And this is the story of my journey. From the doorstep to the brink of entrepreneurship, a story of determination and perseverance. I hope it inspires you to never give up, on your dreams, no matter how difficult the road might be. Thank you for joining me, Jungle's Lair. Until next time.